I'm sure for a lot of you it can be very confusing when looking at towels for our detailing needs to figure out what's good, what should I choose, what GSM, what country of origin, what size should I use. Well, today we're hopefully going to clear a lot of that up. I have compiled a list of every single detailing towel I use in my professional detailing business, from the start of washing our vehicle to drying it, all the way to the end and every dirty job in between, to clear up which towel you should be using for your car. So welcome back to the channel. Let's jump into it. Well, thank you all for tuning in here today, and I can't wait to dive into this video because I get so many questions on, hey, what towel do you select for this? What's your recommendation for this issue I might be having, or this dirty job I might have on my car? So hopefully this will clear a lot of things up for you guys and maybe try and point you in the right direction. Now, a couple of quick notes before we start out the video here. Absolutely none of this is paid product placement or sponsored whatsoever. Each and every one of these towels I've used in my detailing business. I've paid for these with my own money to actually use. I've tried these, I've tested them, I've been through all of them, and hopefully I'll be able to help you guys out. I will leave every single one of these towels linked in the description below for you guys to pick up if you like what you see here. If you prefer something else, that's totally okay. You can have different preferences than me. I'm going to share my preferences with you as a 12+ year professional detailer. Another quick note here, this will probably be a long style video, so I'll chapterize this out for each one of the segments so you can skip over the stuff you don't care about, skip directly to the stuff you actually do care about. Now, two topics I want to cover before we actually dive into the towels here, and that is number one, GSM. Now, I think a lot of people think that the higher the GSM, the higher quality of the towel. At least that's what I hear quite a few people say, and that's absolutely not the case. Now, in general, what you're going to see here is a wide variety of different GSMs for different specific use cases here. So for example, when you're drying your vehicle, naturally you're going to want a higher GSM to absorb all that water. On the flip side, if you're cleaning your interior, wiping off ceramic coating, you might want a towel that's at 300 GSM. That doesn't mean that's a lower quality towel, it just means it has a different specific use case when it comes to our detailing. So GSM means grams per square meter, essentially telling you the weight of the towel based on how much weave, all of that fun stuff is actually in a square meter, based on grams. So understand, very, very different. You can see here a towel like this is 550 GSM, but this fluffy towel next to it is actually 500 GSM. Pretty crazy to think this has more GSM than this, but it doesn't mean one is more quality than the other. The second quick topic I want to touch on here is country of origin. See, a lot of companies market out there that South Korean microfibers are just better than China. I can tell you in general, maybe, but in general, I've also seen where I purchase South Korean towels and they're absolutely crap quality. Most of the time, they're pretty darn good. On the flip side, I've seen the same exact thing from China. So what you'll actually see here is a mix, a variety of both. I personally would not buy a towel solely based on the fact that it's made in South Korea versus China. I think there's use cases for all. You'll also see that here. I'll tell you where each one of these towels are from, the GSM, the blend, all of that fun stuff and everything in between. So let's dive into it. So let's start off here with typically the first thing we start with, that is actually washing our car. Now I have a couple different options when it comes to wash mitts or wash pads for you guys. Now I think in general, there's probably more people that prefer wash mitts versus wash pads. I'm a wash pad guy, but this one is actually a combination of both. So this is from Microfiber. This is their Wash Monster. This is a 10x8 size, which in my opinion is kind of the perfect size. There's a couple things I really love about this. Number one, it's a little bit stiff, which is a good thing. You don't want something that's kind of a limp, wet noodle that's kind of hard to maneuver, kind of folds over on itself. You want a little bit of structure inside of this. And I personally, for a lot of you who actually like using it as a wash mitt, I absolutely hate a lot of these have cuffs on them. They're not really meant to be around paint, especially when you put embroidery on them. I don't know why companies do this, and I just don't like those because they do have the opportunity to scratch. Some people just shove them into these, whereas this, you can easily stick your hand in, and it is actually the perfect size. So this is my number one recommendation. Next over here, we come to the Rag Company Ultra Cyclone Wash Pad. Now they have two different sizes of these. This is pretty typical, what you'll see around the industry. This is a 10x10 size, and this over here on the other hand is a 6x8 size. In my personal opinion, these are the way to go. These are just kind of awkward to pick up, right? I mean, you can pick them up on the side. They're just cumbersome unless you literally have NBA hands to kind of palm them. I am just not a huge fan of these, but these bad boys over here I think are the perfect size. Easy to palm, and especially on the edges and small intricate areas, you can really get them into grills, arrow, all of that fun stuff, very intricate areas. I think these are kind of perfect. Now between these, I'm not sure exactly which one I can tell you, but I use them as a combination of both. Sometimes I like these more than these. These are definitely a little bit more rigid. You can also see they're a little bit more plush. These are also made in China versus these are actually made in South Korea. If that makes any sort of difference for you, I personally don't think so. So now that we've got safe washing methods for our paint, what about our wheels? Well, there's a ton of different brushes out there, which I definitely use, but there's also one that I have started using a heck of a lot more. And this is also from the Rag Company. This is their Ultra Cyclone Wheel Mitt. And this is a little bit smaller. So this is, they claim a 6x7 size. It looks more like a square to me. Either way, essentially what this is the safest possible way to wash gloss black wheels out there. So this is something you put on your 4 fingers here. You can get the whole face of the wheel, and importantly, you can actually get the back of the spoke. So very, very nice for doing that. And again, you can see here inside, it doesn't have the big sponge like this does over here. So it's even better at molding and getting into very intricate wheel designs here. These are an absolute game changer. Absolutely love them. And again, come in a 2-pack so you can have one and another. Keep them fresh. Make sure you're washing them. We'll talk about that actually at the end. So now that we've got our car squeaky clean, we of course need to dry it. Now I do have some different recommendations here. Now I will tell you kind of my first favorite in general has always been and still is the Rag Company Liquidator. Now I recently just did a video trying out many different drying towels and actually found some that are really, really impressive from both the House of Rags, Auto Fiber, and I'll share those with you here. But the Liquidator has always kind of been my favorite. Number one, it's the perfect size. So 25 by 36. This is an 1100 GSM towel. And the thing that I really like about the Liquidator is that it's flexible. So it's very good at getting into small, intricate grills. And they also sell these in a variety of sizes. So 16 by 16, 20 by 20, 20 by 24 as well. So something like this over here. And what I like about the 20 by 24s versus the 25 by 36s, these are in general what I do for my first initial pass to dry the car. Then I come back with something like this, which importantly for me is different colored on both sides, so I can kind of keep track of this. But this is a little bit better for getting into smaller, more intricate areas. And again, that's why I really, really like the Liquidator, that it's small enough. It doesn't have huge GSM that it's impossible to get around mirrors, into grills, things like that. So if you're looking for a towel that kind of covers all the bases, the Liquidator is one of my favorites. Now, I would say it's not the most absorbent towel out there. There are definitely more absorbent towels, but you do typically go up in GSM. Now, if you want to bump up a little bit in GSM, actually one of these was in my recent test and I absolutely fell in love with these. So they have a couple different sizes of these, but these are the Auto Fiber Dreadnought Max. So these come in at a 1400 GSM. These are actually triple layered. So you can see they do have a little bit more, well, I guess stiffness is probably the best word to use on these, but they're not as floppy as the Liquidator. These things are pretty incredible at just absorbing water. A couple of things that I really like about these is, number one, the size of the smaller ones. So a 20 by 30 here, I think it's kind of perfectly optimized. They also sell a 20 by 40, which I find to be very awkward. I'm more of a just as perfect as a rectangle guy as you can possibly get. This is also double-sided colored, and these things are unbelievably absorbent. You can also pair that with their 16 by 16 Auto Fiber Dreadnought Max Junior here, and these things are absolutely awesome for, again, those smaller areas. So again, do consider this is definitely a little bit bulkier than the Liquidators over here, but might be a little bit better in general of overall absorbency. Now, if you really want the Mac Daddy, the big boy, the king, we've got GOAT 1800. They also sell a regular GOAT, which is like, I think over 2000 GSM. It is just, in my opinion, a little bit too much. This one's a little bit smaller, 1800 GSM. My biggest issue with this towel is it comes in a square. I'm not a huge fan of having towels in squares. I like them, again, in rectangles, but twist loop style on here, this thing absolutely munches water. It is insane. You can probably dry 2 full-size SUVs with a single one of these towels. Again, the drawback to this versus something like the Liquidator, you can see how much flimsier this is than over here. This is better for getting into more intricate grills. So if you kind of want something that will just do a lot very, very quickly, the GOAT 1800, pretty impressive. So now that we've washed our car, we've dried it, let's talk about compound and polish removal towels. Now, I have a couple different recommendations here. No, for the most part, there are genuinely not a ton of towels that don't work for this. I mean, you'll see a lot of different varieties out there, but I've chosen 2 specific ones here for very specific reasons. So number one, my main ones here are the Eagle Edgeless 500s from the Rag Company. 500 GSM, 70/30 blend out of South Korea. And importantly for me, these are completely edgeless. So hidden edge on them. These are super, super high quality. Now the weave on these are very, very different. These are actually circular knit, and you can see they are nice and plush and very, very fluffy. These I actually found from working a lot with non-metallic black Porsche paint, if you know that paint, pain in the ass to deal with, and Tesla solid black paint, both very, very soft. You can take the highest quality microfiber, and a lot of the times you'll kind of mar it and scratch it up. I mean, they just literally, when you look at it, it starts scratching. So these are the best option for that. What you'll notice here is you can see I use these quite a bit. I think these are some of the highest quality detailing towels on the market. They are not cheap, $5.99 a piece here. So you add that up, it gets pretty darn expensive, but super, super high quality. Absolutely love them. You'll also see what I do here is actually color coordinate them. So I have my compound removal towels are always blue, polish is always white, and then we'll talk about these when we get down to that use case. Now, the other thing you'll actually see when you do a lot of paint corrections, a lot of compounding and polishing like I do, is some of the times you'll get a paint that is just not working with you, that the compound, the polish, the paint in general, whether it's hard, soft, and many, many different factors that go into this, is that compound or polish will get really, really hard to remove. And that is where these are absolutely horrible. They'll end up folding over themselves. A lot of the times they will leave lint behind as well. That's where I come to the Rag Company Citrus Twist. These things are really great for kind of more finicky paints that are not working so well with you, not necessarily the super soft paint. I still recommend these over here, but if you're having some hard times with compound and polish removal, these things are excellent. They have a little bit more, what I would say, bite to them. So these are 550 GSM here. These are 70/30 blend. These are made in China. Now these are also very similar to the Rag Company FTW over here, which we'll talk about in a second. These are a little bit cheaper. Again, they are from China, and I do think in this specific use case, they are less premium than the FTWs. So you could interchange FTWs in this specific use case if you'd like, but I find especially for compound removal, really, really heavy, nasty, like huge paint corrections, that's where these are pretty darn good for. So I will kind of color coordinate these as well. They come in a 3-pack of 3 different colors, which I don't love. I wish they just sell them in single colors here. They have coral, yellow under here, and green. So I'll kind of mix those up where I see fit. But these are my 2 main paint correction ones. Potentially I might change over to the Rag Company FTWs, but I've been really liking these and kind of feel like they're actually a little bit better on hammered paint than the Rag Company FTWs. I don't know why, but that's just been from my testing. Now that we've gone through, done our paint correction and polish, our paint's looking perfect, we clearly want to put some protection on. So now we're going to talk about ceramic coating towels. Now, there's a few different towels we use for these stages. Number 1 is our panel prep stage. So removing all of that polish residue and using a panel prep spray from whatever company you'd like, CarPro Eraser, Clean by Pan panel prep spray, you name it, you can use it with this towel. But what I've actually really found I love using for my panel prep is actually the Rag Company FTW. Now I actually can't take credit for suggesting this. My friend Bradley over at Armor Detail Supply started using these, and I was like, I gotta try out and see what he's finding there, because he loves using these with his panel prep. And I tried them, I was like, damn, completely changed. I actually used to use the Rag Company Eagle Edgeless 350s. They were like a purple lavender one. And I would find on some certain circumstances with, you know, some like static electricity, it would leave a little bit of lint behind, but I think these are absolutely perfect. So these are 550 GSM on here, 70-30 blend. These are twist loop style, made out of South Korea, super high quality towels here. You have to buy these in 3-packs, which I do think is a negative, but I also think, yeah, just get a couple of them, probably 2 packs, have 6 of them. And then every time after you do your panel prep, they can go in the washer and dryer, and they're gonna be ready to go for the next car. Absolutely love these towels. A true game changer for panel prep sprays. The next best thing for ceramic coating application is swapping out your applicator blocks. Now, pretty much every single ceramic coating you get will come with an applicator. Most of them, in my personal opinion, absolute garbage. Typically, I take them out of the box, throw them away, and grab these. These are the Microfiber Auto Saver. These are actually a terry weave applicator, and I think these things are genuinely perfection. Number one, I think they're the perfect size. So they're 3 inches long, 1.5 inches tall, 1.5 inches wide. They are also dual colored, so very easy while you're installing a ceramic coating. You get halfway around the car to actually flip it, start a new side, keeps you organized, keeps you going in the right direction. You can get these in a ton of different colors, whatever your heart desires. Now, the best thing about these is they actually have this membrane inside of them so that your coating is not actually absorbing into the foam that is inside of here. So it's going to keep that coating on top of it and make sure you're getting the most out of that very expensive ceramic coating you have. The best thing about these though is that they are moldable. So any intricate areas you can get into, and they're the perfect size. Again, I really don't like the applicator blocks. Microfiber sells the other ones in the larger size. I find it is just way harder to get an even application and then get into the more intricate areas. These are utter perfection and highly, highly suggest you pick these up. They are not cheap by themselves. They're about $3 per applicator. Get them in a large pack. I promise you, you can use them for a wide variety of things, not only just installing ceramic coatings. So after we've installed that coating, it's flashed off the surface. What kind of towels do we want to do our first wipe and our second wipe? Well, what I have found my favorite initial leveling wipe is from the Rag Company Edgeless 300s. These are a terry weave, so they really pick up a lot of that coating, especially on stickier coatings. These are incredible for it. I've used in the past the Rag Company Pearl towels, and I just find they start to push around certain coatings, and these have been an absolute game changer. Leave no lint behind, very nice edges on them. These are actually made in China, but one of the highest quality towels I've used. I absolutely love these things. For my initial level on the ceramic coatings, picks up like 95% of it. And then what I'll actually do is grab, yet again, another Eagle Edgeless 500 here. Now, this I always use in red as a no-go. This goes on nothing else but for ceramic coatings. Now, let's also talk about coating towels for the use case of reusing them. I absolutely do not believe in reusing them. I hear a ton of people that say you immediately put them in rinseless and do all this stuff. I don't believe in that. If you are too cheap to spend $8 on towels for coating your vehicle, I don't know what you're doing, especially in a professional detailing sense. Like, build it into your cost. So these, for me, single-use applications, immediately pitch them in the trash. The issue with cleaning these is your coating is going to crystallize in these, and those crystals and all of that curing inside of your towel can mar up other surfaces. I see some people use these for, like, you know, interiors, door jambs, dirty areas. I don't know, just stop being cheap, just toss them away. These are meant to be single use. Same with the applicators. You're not trying to save those. Spend a little bit of money, take pride in your vehicle, take pride in detailing, and just single use these. I promise you, you're gonna be better off not trying to wash these and make a mess of things. While on the topic of protection, you might want to install something like a ceramic detail spray, a spray wax, or just detail spray in general. And yet again, coming back to the Eagle Edgeless 500, but in orange for my use case here. So again, compound in blue, polish in white, ceramic coating in red, and this is for quick little tidy ups or some ceramic detail spray. Again, these are really perfectly paired for just quickly putting on some of that protection. It's very, very soft. You're not going to mar up the surface, of course, unless it's dirty, right? But these I just find to be absolutely amazing. You can also use the Rag Company FTWs for this. I personally find, especially with kind of ceramic sprays, things like that, these are a little bit better, a little bit more absorbent, which is a good thing in this particular use case, and just glide across the surface. So quick touch-ups, ceramic sprays, I'm going with an Eagle Edgeless 500 every single day of the week. Next, moving on to the most hotly debated topic when it comes to towels, and that is glass towels. It feels like there are, 50 to 100 different styles of glass towel that all claim to be the best. I can personally tell you from my testing, my experience cleaning way too much glass in my life. It's actually not really down to the towel you're using, but actually the method of which you are cleaning glass. If you follow my glass cleaning method, you'll know what I'm talking about. Give a quick snippet here what it is. I use Adam's Brilliant Glaze. This is really meant for the inside of your vehicle, all over the glass to remove all of the off-gassing oils and residue that gets on your glass. A lot of the times, a lot of glass cleaners, they put a lot of alcohol in them to actually remove that film and oil, but they don't necessarily do such a good job at that. I personally prefer glass to be slick, just like the paint when we ceramic coat it, wax it, put sealants on it, rather than super grabby, super tacky. So that's why I use something like a Costco microfiber towel here. It sounds crazy, I promise you, because the biggest thing here is after that Brilliant Glaze, I actually use a mix of 50-50 with Adam's Waterless Wash and my favorite glass cleaners. I typically use Carbro Clarify, Coach Chemi glass cleaner. Either one of those mix 50-50 with waterless wash. I promise you, after you do Brilliant Glaze, a towel like this, you'll never have cleaner glass. Now, I know for a lot of you, you might want a dedicated glass towel. So for that, I would definitely tell you the Rag Company FTW is pretty damn spectacular. Now, I will say this is, in general, I would say the best one out there because quite a few things here. It's actually thick, so it can actually absorb liquid, and especially that residue, that oils on your glass actually absorbs that. A lot of those very thin waffle weave or more glass style towels that are really, really thin, you're just pushing stuff around. You're actually not absorbing it. And it feels like if you use 1/8 of an ounce too much of solution on there, it just becomes a streaky mess. So the Rag Company FTW, really, really like these. I will tell you, these are not amazing using Built Hamber Touchless with. It actually will cause these to lint quite a bit. I like Built Hamber Touchless. I don't love it. A lot of people say I'm an idiot for saying this. I don't really care. I think my glass method works better because I like slick glass. Built Hamber Touchless just leaves your glass tacky. So if you ever want to dry wipe it, good luck with lint on that one. So trust me, try my glass cleaning method. I'll leave it linked in the description below. Let me know what you think. Again, you can literally use Costco yellow microfiber towels, and I promise you, your glass is going to be cleaner than pretty much any other glass out there. So the last towel here that I think is absolutely essential to have in your detailing arsenal is an all-purpose towel, an interior towel, a dirty jobs towel. Well, I can tell you one of the best ones out there is the Costco microfiber towel. Now, it's not the perfect one out there. You could spend more money, get something like Eagle Edgeless 365s, something like that. But I personally think for the price point of these, for its intended use case and job, you do not need to spend a ton of money. This is not something, and I do see a lot of people do this, which absolutely makes me cringe. They use these to remove ceramic coatings. I'm not into that. The reason being is these edges here can mar up the surface of your paint, especially if you're working on super, super soft paint. Be mindful of that. But why I use these is because I single use them. So these are, for me, interior towels. These are door jamb towels. They're for really nasty brake calipers, adhesive removers, things like that. The all-purpose stuff out there. I single use them and I throw them away. Now, I've said this before and I had got so many comments about how wasteful that is and da-da-da-da-da. Well, you know what I think is wasteful is taking a towel that has a bunch of grease, adhesive remover, body oils, dog paw, dog slobber, dead skin, all of that stuff, shoving it in your washer where all of these are washed. I personally just do not understand that concept. So for me, I would gladly spend 20 bucks at Costco, get 36 towels, use them once, throw them away, and move on with my life. I don't have time to sit here and do laundry every single day of the week. And I got to tell you, that really helps using those towels, cutting down on time, cutting down on having to wash them with all these other towels and potentially ruin those. So for dirty jobs, interiors, nothing better than Costco yellow microfiber towels. Yes, they're made in China. Yes, they're not the highest quality things out there, but again, those door jambs, those dirty, dirty, dirty areas, nothing better than them. All right, guys, well, that wraps up basically starting a detail to finishing a detail and pretty much every single job in between. I'm curious to know what you guys think of some of my recommendations. Again, these have all been tried, they've been tested, they are actually used in a real life professional detailing business sense. And I am pretty crazy when it comes to detailing, right? I'm not, out doing mobile washes, nothing that there's wrong with this. I am spending 40 plus hours fully correcting, polishing, coating absolutely everything, removing wheels off cars, cleaning suspension, like going into crazy detail. And these towels help me do that. And like I said, each one of these towels are hand selected for that specific use case. But you'll also see a lot of these towels I found to just be exceptionally good and use them on multiple areas of the vehicle, just color coordinating them and keeping them organized. Another quick mention here is a couple of things on using towels in general and maintaining towels. I don't know why people do this, but this is the true telltale sign. You have no idea what you're doing with detailing when you take a single towel like this and shove it in your hand and start wiping like this. Guys, take your towel, fold it up like this, and I just created, instead of having 2 sides, I now have 8 sides to this towel. You can keep track of where the dirt and grime is. Once this side's dirty, whoa, I can flip this over and I've got a fresh, clean side. Once that gets dirty, oh my gosh, check that out. I cannot get past the people who do this. This drives me nuts. Number one, you're just taking 5 pressure points, being your little phalanges here, and just scrubbing those areas hard. And you wonder why you're getting ceramic coating high spots. Things are just looking streaky and pretty terrible. Take your towel, fold it into quarters, and boom, Bob's your uncle. The second thing here is, how do we maintain our towels? Well, it's very simple. I use P&S Rags to Riches. Every single time one of these towels gets used, they go into my washer, get ran, I run them on cold, and then I tumble dry them low until they're dry. Every single time I use a wash mitt on a car, goes into the bucket, goes into the washer, dryer, ready to go for next time. I am not a fan of just leaving stuff like this to air dry. My drying towels get this, compound polish, the coating prep stage towels, all of that stuff gets washed. Other than, of course, my ceramic coating towels and my single-use towels for dirty jobs. So keep your stuff clean. Hopefully this helped you guys out. And yeah, everything will be linked in the description below. See you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.